So, hello everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of the Whole 115 Yards Women's Football Podcast as we delve into our pre-season preview with a very exciting promotion special as we talk all things Real Bedford Women. Now, I'm very excited, as you can see today, to be joined by Peter McCormack, who is chairman and co-owner of Real Bedford Football Club, and Gemma Biggadike, who is the captain of Real Bedford Women. So, welcome both. How are you?
Go on, Jem.
You go first. Oh, yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having us. Excited for this one.
Yeah, thank you for having us. Excited for this. Looking forward to the new season.
Yeah, very excited, and thank you both for making time as well. Now, there's been a fantastic run of form for the club as a whole recently, but particularly for the women that we're focusing on today, promoted into Tier 3. And yeah, I just knew I had to reach out and have a chat with you both about how it's going. Peter, we'll start with you. Now, Real Bedford as a club has been on this incredible journey, as I just mentioned, over the last few seasons. And as a team, it's still quite new in its current form, isn't it? So could you start us off, please, by telling us a bit more about the history of the club and why you wanted to get involved?
Yeah, I bought the club 3.5 years ago. Bedford is one of the largest towns in the country without a men's team in the Football League. And at the time, I didn't know why, but I thought I'd have a go at doing it. So I bought the club 3.5 years ago. And 1 year into that, we decided we wanted a club to have both the men's and women's side. So we partnered with a local club, Bedford, I think it's Bedford Ladies and Girls or Bedford Girls and Ladies, can't remember the name at the time. Partnered with them, supported what they were doing. And then we brought their senior first team into our fold, who became Real Bedford Women. And they've won back-to-back promotions, so we've gone from Tier 5 now up to Tier 3.
Which is just an incredible journey, isn't it? And I was looking at, when I was doing a bit of research and into the history, the rebranding as well of the club with the skull and crossbones is so iconic, isn't it? So when you see it, it's very striking. Was that a statement about what you were trying to make, that reflection of the logo?
A little bit. So when we bought the club, they didn't really have any fans. The men's side was a Step 6 club, and the only people really going were people who were families of the players. So there wasn't really anyone we were going to annoy by rebranding the club. So we kind of felt like we were just a new club. And so there were a couple of things happened. Firstly, I was out in America at the time. I was actually at a game. I was watching Inter Miami, and I just liked what Beckham had done with that. And I thought, Bedford, it's very much like Madrid, so we should probably rename ourselves Real Bedford. And then the skull and crossbones, I mean, it's just like me. If you see me, I'm covered in tattoos. I listen to heavy metal. I think a lot of football clubs these days are boring. They all kind of stand for the same thing, football and excellence, and it's a bit dull. And I know what I'm like. I'm a bit of a lunatic, and Jem will tell you I like mayhem, and I felt like we were going to be kind of a bit different, a little bit more punk rock. Nobody was using the skull and crossbones in England. Whereas if you go out to America, the Raiders have used it in American football. St. Pauli use it in Germany. And I just thought, well, look, we'll take it. We'll use it. It looks great on the merch, and we sell a lot of that. And I just think it reflects me, but now it reflects the club. And I think we have a kind of certain way of doing things. And I think a lot of people buy into that now.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means to you, Jem, as a player.
Yeah, it's definitely different, but I think we like it because it's something that people remember as well. So a lot of the times you can mention Real Bedford as much as we're climbing. It's maybe a club that people didn't know too much about, but now when you mention it, I hear a lot, oh, are you the guys that like the Pirates, or you've got the skull and the crossbones everywhere. So it is really, as you said, it's quite iconic alongside the club.
Yeah, and it's quite a nice image to link in because, like you said, people remember it, don't they? And when I was looking at, the fixtures and the artwork for it as well, it's so striking compared to everyone else in the league. So absolutely, it stands out so much. Peter, what I really liked about your interviews, because I had a little look previously to doing this, is that when you talk about the club, you talk about the men's side, but almost immediately followed by what the women's side are doing as well. And to have that representation as someone in an important position to show them as equals, unfortunately, we haven't really seen that through the football landscape recently, have we, in both men's and women's football? So what was it like for you? I know you've touched upon, you brought the women's team under your wing. What was your ultimate, or what is your ultimate vision for the women's team, knowing how important women's football can be?
Yeah, look, it's a good question. Ultimately, we've been very clear what we want to do. We want to have teams in the top level of English football, which means a men's side in the Premier League and a women's side in the WSL. And in some ways, the women's side are actually ahead of the men's now. And people obviously laugh at me, and they've laughed at me at the very start since saying that. But after 5 promotions across both teams, we've won every league we've been for. And now having business partners, Cameron Tyler Winklevoss, who are billionaires who fully back in the project, I think people are starting to realise, okay, I still think you're ridiculous, but I can see what you're trying to do. And football clubs now are not a single team. Football clubs are sometimes dozens, if not even hundreds of teams of boys, girls, men and women playing football. And it's a business. And so being from Bedford, I want people in Bedford to do well. I want people who want to play football to have access to good facilities, coaching, etc. And I'm also a businessman. So it only made sense that we would have a women's side. And I'm probably the least woke person you will ever meet. And at the same time, I think people have appreciated the fact that I've dedicated a lot of my time and effort and money into the women's side, but I'm doing it in a way that isn't, I'm not just like trying to tick a box. And, like when you mentioned earlier about men's and women's being equal, like we're not. That's the first thing I would say. We're not. We're never going to set our budget so the players are paid the same. We set budgets to win leagues. And if the women's budget needs to be higher than the men's for them to win their league, well, that's what we'll set the budget, and vice versa. And yeah, I just like winning football matches. I don't care whether it's our men's side or women's side. I want to go to games on the weekend, win matches, and I get really, really in a bad mood when we don't. I don't care which team it is. So, yeah.
But that's the way it should be, shouldn't it? And you're right in the sense of if they're completely different games in a sense, but they should be almost viewed equally. Not one's better than the other, but just as a club and all coming together. And as someone,
but they are different. So what I would say is, like, we should always be honest about the differences in the games, because there is a significant difference in the games. The men's quality is currently a lot higher. But there's a couple of reasons that men have been playing football professionally for over a century. And really, the women's game's picked up a lot in the last decade, but maybe 2 decades. And so there's just been a lack of investment in it. But the speed at which the quality is improving in the women's game, you can see that from major tournament to major tournament. But there is another thing that happens is, like, when my son was first walked, I would put a football in front of him. He would start kicking it. My daughter didn't kick a football till she was 13 when she came to me and said, I want to play football. And so there's differences there that we just have to be like realistic about.
yeah, of course.
But at the same time, the speed of change in the women's game is really exciting. I love it. And also, they're nicer and easier to manage, apart from Gem.
Yeah, I definitely test that one.
I was going to come on something quite positive next time, Gemma. But to hear, your club corner speak so passionate about the women's side and wanting to put that investment in, how does that feel for you as a player? Is that one of the reasons that you came to the club?
Yeah, it's a massive reason. I think I speak for a lot of the girls when I say, we've been involved in football, in women's football for a long time. And I've not really come across someone like Pete who's so invested and so honest about the reflections within it and the limitations that comes with that as well. It's not sort of, it's you can have this. It's there's a clear direction and a clear drive of where Pete wants to take the club. And I think if you can be involved in that, it's amazing. I think he's given to the players and the staff as well, probably a new experience in terms of the backing and the sort of the drive that Pete has for the club is so infectious, and that's gone down whether you're a staff member or a player or whatever. I think that's brand new, and having come from clubs where we're having to ask for the bare minimum to even try to stay afloat, to compete, to come across to Pete, and it's very much it's an ambitious drive that's there. It's new to a lot of people, but it's how a lot of people should be, and the way the women's game is going, Pete's very much ahead of the curve with that.
Yeah, and it almost, knowing you've got that back, and it almost takes away that worry, doesn't it, of, what's going to happen if we don't win this game? What's going to happen if we, don't get promotion this season? And
they should be worried.
Well, of course, a relative amount. But yeah, so you can physically see that impact on the mentality of the players then, who come and because they want to succeed, I suppose, for each other and for the club, knowing that they've got that back in.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's one of the things that's really missing in the women's game is players just being able to worry about the football side of things. So, you know, the men's game and professional games academies and things like that, they do everything they can to take every decision away, every worry away from the player that's not football. Whereas in the women's game, that's not necessarily the case the whole time. There's not necessarily always the backing with travel to games or the appropriate staffing around that. And that's very much something that Peter's created, where he will build a workforce and he's built a strong infrastructure behind that, so that when you're coming to football, you're worrying about football and you're worrying about winning games, and none of the other things sort of have to come into play with that. And it sort of removes a lot of excuses within it. So we know that Pete wants to win. We equally want to win. And I think that's what we've got as a collective really special over at Real Bedford.
No, and you can tell straight away from talking to both you, even for 10 minutes, that there's this real ambition and real love for the game. And of course, pre-season is well underway. I think you've got one fixture left at the weekend against Loughborough Lightning, who of course were also promoted, but they're in the Northern Premier Division. Are you looking forward to that matchup as someone as a team that are on like the same situation as you, to come up and see what that level's like?
Yeah, definitely. I think pre-season's always a really interesting one, where you don't necessarily get to play teams that are within your league, because it doesn't really make sense to do that. So it's always exciting to pitch yourself against other sides that are in similar situations, especially as you mentioned, with them being promoted as well. I think every game in pre-season's been a testing one, and that's what you want. You don't want your pre-season to be a walkover. You need it to identify areas that you can work on. I think with the final match being against a side that's following a similar journey to us, will be a really good end to it before we head into the start of the league, obviously next Sunday.
Yeah, and it feels like it's come around really quickly. I felt like ages until the season was going to start again, but now you're saying it's next week, a week to go. And there's been some fantastic new signings over the summer, strengthening for the new season. Now, for fans who may not know much about the club or who haven't seen you play before, Gemma, probably come to you first. How would you describe the team's playing style and what people can expect from the team next season?
Yeah, I think we're a really exciting team to watch, to be honest. We've got across the board, some really, really talented individuals that have come from different walks and different coaching styles at different clubs. And what we've done here is we've moulded that to suit something that is really exciting to watch. And we do play an exciting style of football. I think we're very much an in-position team, so we see a lot of the ball, but also we're very tenacious in our pressing actions and things. So we're very fast-paced. We're always looking to get forward and get goals in and stuff. So, and I think we're very interactive as well with the fans, and we've built sort of something really special. So, anyone that wants to come along, I'm sure they'll get a taste of that and instantly feel part of it. So yeah, I think we're just exciting is the word I'd use for sure.
Yeah, no, it sounds it. Peter, anything else to add about what people can look forward to this season?
Yeah, I mean, look, the really exciting thing about the women's game for us is that we, as a small club, we can essentially affect change a little bit more, because the men's game's so big. There's so many leagues, so many teams. We've started so far down, even though we've had 3 promotions. Yeah, the biggest side will probably play this season is Kettering. It's got an okay history, but like last season, we won a league with Norwich and QPR in it. Big established clubs with great infrastructure and great facilities. We're now going into a league that's going to have Wimbledon and Watford and Plymouth and Oxford, and I think Bournemouth are in our league, right, Jim? And so we're amongst the mix of some big clubs with great infrastructure and a great history. And occasionally we get to play at the stadiums. We beat QPR 2-0 at Loftus Road last year, which was an incredible moment. I mean, I remember turning up and just sitting in the stadium and going, wow, this is cool. And so I think the exciting thing, especially if people living in Bedford, is that big name clubs are coming to Bedford to play a Bedford team. Big name clubs that you know of and that you've heard of. And some of them are going to come to Bedford and they're going to lose, and they're going to lose to us. And that's so cool. And then also, what I really want this year, I mean, the thing I really want most of all this year is a good FA Cup run. We haven't had that yet. We went out in the first game against Cambridge last year, which we should never have lost. We're a much better side than them. Is what it is. But this year, I would love us to get to the 3rd or 4th round. Imagine we got to the 4th round and got a WSL side. How cool would that be? So, yeah, I'm just excited that we're up there mixing it with some big clubs who've got either Premier League or have been in the Premier League in recent years, who've got infrastructure, but we're there to compete with them. And that's the thing I'm most excited about.
No, I love that. And I like what you said about ultimately, facing off against a WSL club, because I also do a Aston Villa women's podcast. And in the tournament last year, we got drawn against Bristol Rovers. And when they knew they were coming up, and, to face off against WSL club is such a fantastic feeling of, we're going to take it to them. And we're going to give them everything, and it's not going to be a walkover. And a lot of people who were WSL fans then thought, we're going to adopt them as our team because the fans were fantastic and the team was fantastic, and the way they came out and just gave it everything. We've got a really good relationship with that club now.
Amazing,
friendly wise. So that's kind of what I love about the women's game, is that people are so open to seeing other teams and watching what other teams are about. Almost adopting teams from around the pyramid because you want them to succeed.
Yeah, it's a nicer game. The women's game is a nicer game in that you still got shithouses in the. Sorry, I don't know if you can swear on your podcast.
Yeah, go for it.
You still got shithouses in the game. Gem can be a shithouse herself sometimes, but generally it's a nicer game. It's less aggro. I don't worry at a women's game that two sets of fans are going to face off and start fighting. I don't worry that it's going to kick off on the pitch and there's going to be a 22-player brawl. I don't have to worry about that stuff. And with that, what I've then noticed is that it allows clubs to build better relationships with each other because you don't have that kind of male, over-competitive, angry side of the game. A little bit there, but not as much. So you just build these great relationships with other clubs.
Yeah, you've got the banter and the passion without any worries to kind of go with it.
Yeah,
absolutely. And now, of course, to get to this point to T3, I just want to talk a little bit about the moment that you realised that promotion was secured last season, because I believe it was the penultimate game against London Seawards, as they were then called, 11-1, which is incredible in itself. But at that time, it was then enough that you knew, I know you mentioned Norwich City earlier, that they couldn't then catch you, even if they won their final game. So, Gemma, for you, what's it like to be in a position where you've fought the whole season, you're finally at this moment, the whistle blows, and you've done it, you've secured that promotion? What was that like?
Almost a little bit surreal at the time. I think we'd spoken so heavily on wanting to get promoted and definitely knew that it was a non-negotiable. And we knew we were good enough throughout the whole season, but it doesn't eliminate the sort of stress that comes alongside that, because football's an unpredictable game and things can change really quickly for you. So there was a couple times throughout the season where we got a little bit nervous because Norwich were doing well and Chatham obviously were well up there as well. But when it finally came down to it and we knew that we'd done it, I'd say there was a huge relief around it, and players, you could finally drop your shoulders a little bit, because although we obviously were heading in the right direction the entirety of the season, having gone unbeaten up to that point, you never sort of drop, you don't really drop your guard. And that's something that we were so heavy on, that we weren't going to come into that league and we weren't going to just walk over teams. It was going to take hard graft and it was going to take complete and utter dedication. And I think every staff member, every player, whether they featured in one game, whether they featured in every single game, played as big a part in getting us to that point. So everyone shared that same collective sort of sense of relief, but also a real, it was just such a big achievement. And some players, for as long as they can play in their career to whatever level, is kind of rare that you get to be involved in a title winning side and be involved in that chase. And it was a really exciting year, and as much as it ended in smiles and celebrations and things like that, there were times when it was really testing.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately it's left all players and staff with, and obviously Pete, with the feeling of just being so proud of everyone, and everyone getting a taste of what that success feels like only spurs us on to then want to aim for more and want to eventually climb higher.
Yeah.
And I was especially happy for Gem, because being an Arsenal fan, she doesn't really get to celebrate much. She's used to coming second.
We are allowed to swear on this one, you said, right?
Yeah.
Now, listen, look, it's funny when we get. I respect everything Gem's saying there, but that's not where we won the league. We won the league when Actonians came to us and we won 1-0 up. We were all over them. They got a random 40-yard lob goal that came out of nowhere, and then I think it was Sophia was like a 90th minute header from As soon as Millie stepped up for the free kick, I knew what was it. I knew we were going to score because Millie is this unbelievable player. Like the goals she scores are a joke, but she can put a cross, dead ball into the box and stick it on someone's head every time. And I just knew we were going to score. And when we did, that's when we won the league. Because when you look, no disrespect to the other teams, when you looked at the running fixtures it was Sudbury, Cheshire, I think it was Seaward, and who was the other one we had to play? All our running was the teams near the bottom end, teams that we knew we should beat and could beat. We nearly had a wobble against Ashford, but we won that league with that header that day. And then it was just really about the professionalism of closing it in. I can think like that. The players can't think like that. They've got to think and win every game. But that was the moment I knew we'd won the league.
And to just have that, again, come back to that mentality, doesn't it? Like, we're not going to stop right until the end, but we know we can do this, and that confidence starts to build. For Pete, for you as well, that weekend, the 11-1 win that we referenced, nice. The men's and the women's secured promotion. It was the same weekend, wasn't it? So what was that like from your perspective?
It's like sometimes you look and you think the universe wants us to win and wants, because everything was perfect. Because it wasn't just that. I put on a conference every weekend in Bedford, just a nerd conference where people come and talk about Bitcoin, and people fly from all around the world and come to it. And so we had big crowds that weekend. I think the men's was 1,400 when we were averaging 360, and I think the women's, we have like 550 there when we would average maybe like 180. And so a lot of people were coming into town, and then our investors, the Winklevoss, were flying in for it as well. Now, actually, both teams shouldn't have won the league that weekend, because in the men's side, we were being chased down by Burko, and they had a game the week before, which we needed them to not win so we could win it that weekend. But they were playing a team 17th, and we knew they were going to beat them, but they didn't. They drew 0-0. I was like, holy crap, we can actually win the league that weekend.
Yeah. And
then we went to Sudbury. It was a game we should have won. I mean, we were all over them. Their goalkeeper, Nina, who we've now signed. I don't know if that's public. Have we announced that? Well, whatever. Anyway, honestly, she had a blinder. She must have pulled off 3 worldy saves, and that was 0-0. And it was a really weird one, because as much as we wanted to close down the league, I was kind of glad, because it meant we could go back to ours and win it. And so just this weird coincidence where everything came together perfectly for just the best weekend.
Yeah.
Both teams win the same weekend, good weather, big crowds, investors in. It was just perfect. We were very lucky.
Yeah, almost if it was written. Ambition and fate's coming together for that one. And of course, promoted now into Tier 3, we mentioned, the Southern Premier Division. It starts over a week, and it's AFC Wimbledon who are the first test. But Gemma, initial thoughts on the league, maybe that fixture as opener. How are you and the team feeling ahead of the season?
Yeah, really excited to get going. A lot of players, majority, I think 99% of the squad has played in Tier 3. But the way the women's game's gone, it's a very different Tier 3 that we played in 2 seasons ago to what it is now. So we know it's going to be a test. But I think we've come in for pre-season. We've worked really hard. We'll continue to work hard this week, and then the last pre-season fixture and leading up to that. And I think there's a real genuine excitement within the squad to go out there and really test ourselves and see just how far we've come as a squad. We know Wimbledon they're a good side, but yeah, the general feeling is everyone just cannot wait to get going and get running into this league and see where we're at, really.
Yeah, fantastic. And that kind of leads quite nicely to the next one, because success kind of comes in all forms. And I know that ultimate success would be if got another promotion, that would be incredible, of course. But I know a lot of other teams just say, look, we've been promoted. We know what the league's like. We know how competitive it can be. So stay up is also another form of it. So Peter, for you, what would success look like this season for the women's team?
Good question.
Can you describe it?
Yeah, I would never say staying up. I mean, I hate that as a standard. Like, oh, let's just stay up. No, I mean, look, firstly, I would understand, look, if we were going into the championship with our current squad, and I would understand that mentality, but we've got players, our squad is so good. We've got such good players. They work so hard. They're talented. They've played together for a long time, because most of them played together at MK before us. So a lot of them play going into their 3rd season playing together. So just staying up is not a mentality like I like the thought of. Success is winning the league, but this is the first season we've gone into whereby we're not budgeting to win the league. We've budgeted to win the previous 2 leagues with a direct goal to the managers. Your job's to win us the league. And if you don't win us the league, that's failure. Second is not good enough. This is the first season we're not doing that. And there's a couple of reasons why. Is that as much as we could, I mean, we could very easily budget to win this league. No problem at all. But we have a job to grow our infrastructure and our commercials to ensure that when we do have a crack at trying to win tier 3, and if we do get in the championship, then when we're in the championship, it's not about can we somehow stay up. I want us, when we go into the championship, to have the budget, the crowds, the infrastructure to say, this is where we deserve to be. We can afford to stay here. We've got the infrastructure, we've got the budgets. And so what I've said to my manager, I said publicly, is that I would like top half. That's, to me, is almost a minimum. And if somehow we can be up there competing for that playoff place that's going to exist, I think, this season, that would be great. But the goal is that if I've got to deliver the infrastructure and the commercials over the next 3 years so that we can have a proper attack to it. But because of that, we've grown other things. We've gone to training 3 times. We were 2 and gone to 3 nights a week. We want to get to hybrid and then full time. We need to get a training center. We need a new stadium. Like, there is a lot we need to do.
Yeah.
But for us, it's just staying up doesn't feel like a step forward. We want to take, if you imagine a shot at the championship is 3 steps, we've got to take a step forward every season. We've got to improve what we do, infrastructure, squad, team, every year. So when we get there, we're ready to have a proper guy at it. But so success to me is top half, and I would say 3rd round of the FA Cup minimum. That's not success, 3rd round, that's minimum. 4th round of the FA Cup to me is success. That is success. The County Cup will win because other local teams aren't good enough. It'll be us and Luton at one point. We'll smash them, and then we'll go and win that. So yeah, give me 4th round of the FA Cup. Give me top half. That's a successful season.
No, that sounds good to me. Gemma, how does that sound to you for success?
Yeah, it sounds good. I think we all, I know there's a bigger picture to it where we understand that we're going into a new league and we haven't necessarily budgeted to win this league, but I mean, make no mistake, we want to win every single game. We know that might not always be the case, but that's the aim. We go into every single game trying to win it, and we will try to get as far as we can in every single cup run, and we'll obviously try to retain that County Cup. I'm sure we will. But yeah, we just want to win, and we'll work hard to do it.
We know some of these teams as well, though. So we played Gwalia in that wasn't the FA Cup, that was the League Cup.
Yeah.
And we went away, and that's a 4-hour coach trip. We got there, beat them.
Yeah.
We played Watford pre-season last season, smashed them 3-0. Who else? Have we played anyone else in that division recently?
I don't think so, not in that one.
But you know some of them from MK days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they know these teams. And also, I think there's a difference. Is when we went into Tier 4, after winning the Tier 5, no one really knew us, right? Like one manager of a team kind of wrote us off at the very start. He said he wanted us as their first game, something easy or something. And I think we surprised everyone. We came out of nowhere. No one expected us. And, we won that league. And at one point, we were walking it. But I don't think that's going to be the case this year. I think we're going to go in and teams are going to be aware of who we are, what we're about. And I think we're probably one of the more exciting fixtures on the list. And teams are going to want to beat us. They're going to be prepared to know about us. So it's going to be an interesting season. But yeah, we can beat every single one of those teams on our day. If our team plays well, we can beat every one of those teams. If you get into the 4th round of the FA Cup and you get City, Chelsea, Liverpool, we could play out of our skin and still lose 4-5-0. That's just the reality of the levels. We can beat every team in this league.
No, and even just listening to you, I'm like, yeah, you can. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm a convert now. I'll get some merch and I'll be there with you next season. Now, in a more general sense as well, especially with the Lionesses, of course, winning back-to-back Euros now. I think from a fuller perspective, there was maybe more of an increase after the 2022 win, because I think that brought a lot of people back to football who maybe had not really followed it as much, or they were kind of on the fence about it maybe. But now it's about sustaining that, isn't it? So I just wanted to get from your perspectives, Peter, from a more business perspective, have you noticed a change in the growth and attention surrounding women's football over the last couple of years?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, we've got a lot more young girls who want to play football, which is cool. That's the thing I love, and they want to play from a younger age. So if I go out to when they're all training and you see 200 of them out there training, it's brilliant. I love it. They're all running around, and that's good. And that means that the more that start at 6, 7 years old, by the time they get to 16, 17, they're going to be much more of a natural player. And we also have this thing where some of the best girl players go and play with the lads, and they usually turn out, if they can compete with the lads, they usually turn out to be really good players, because it is a harder game. It's playing at a more elite level. I think we can accept that, accept it for what it is, and try and push more girls into that. But there is more, I have noticed there's more of an interest, but I also don't think the women's FA do a great job. I'll be honest. I don't like the FA as it is, but I think the women's FA I also dislike. I don't think they always do it a favour. I thought all the advertising around the Euros was embarrassing. It was just really,
There's hardly any, was there?
Yeah. Well, but they did a whole underground tunnel, and it was like, I was like, there's a chance you could put up the trophy, the Euro trophy, and you could say, come and get it, because it's ours, right? Come and get it. But it was all this like, Chloe is humble, and it was just rubbish. And I don't think that helps, right? I don't think it helps the game. They also, I think there's been way too much support for the bigger sides, and the distribution of money down the game just isn't good enough. And if they get it wrong, what they're going to end up doing is making it too hard for teams to compete. And we've already seen the problems out in the Premier League in the men's, in that 3 teams go up and they come straight back down. We've got the same in the women's team. They go up and they come straight back down. They've got to find a better way of allowing smaller teams to be able to compete. It's all well and good the women going winning back-to-back Euros, but if you end up with a WSL that's closed off to 12, 14 teams, it would be a bit crap. So they've got to do a better job on that. But in terms of interest in the women's game, yeah, no, it's definitely growing. And what's been more interesting now is that I'm talking to people who come into my coffee shop and talking about this season ahead, and they're not just talking about the men's anymore. This isn't two just separate crowds, right? It isn't just a bunch of girls who come to watch the women, a bunch of men who go to watch. It's people who will come to both. And I've got more saying, I'm really looking forward to come and see the women this season. Maybe they're a Watford fan. We're playing Watford. And so that's been really interesting. But there's other things, though, we've got to work on. It's like we're always doing things to make it a little bit harder for the women. So playing at 2:00 on a Sunday, that's not great, because 2:00 on a Sunday is when you want to have your Sunday roast, or you've done something on the Saturday, you want to chill out. Also, people don't drink as much on a Sunday, so the revenue's lower. Like, we sell a lot of alcohol at football on the Saturday. I think we should be trying to get as many women's games on a Friday night. If we put a women's game on a Friday night, I think our crowds would get close to matching our men's crowds, because it's Friday night, you want to go out, you can go and watch a game of football, you can have a beer. So there's a lot of things like that I think we've got to do just to try and give the women's game more of a chance, because it's still, in most people's minds and most people's thoughts, it's an afterthought. It's like, let's sort the men out and then we'll sort the women out. And that's the way that we've seen clubs treat their women's side. It's like, you can't train on that training pitch because it's a bit cut up after the men's game. We need to protect it. We've just got to get away from all of that. It's because it's not useful. If we focus on the women's game as a commercial entity, we will grow support for that game. Is that fair, Gem?
Yeah. I think it's all fresh ideas. I think you can obviously see it from probably a better point of view, that side of things, than I can, as just a player that wants to be playing in it and for it to go as high as it can. And maybe, there's some fresh ideas within it. I think it's a very fair comment on the women's FA being able to probably do more.
Do you remember our MK game last season?
Yeah.
I think that it wasn't our biggest crowd, but I think it was my favourite game. It was on a Wednesday night. It was a local rivalry, and we had 320 people turn up, and it was brilliant. By the way, and I think that's a good thing they've done with the change to the League Cup. That little local table where we're going to play Norwich, Peterborough and Cambridge, it creates that like quite nice little rivalry. What I don't know is, why are we not playing each other twice? Why isn't it home and away? There's enough space in the fixture list, which, by the way, sorry, I was going to start ranting now. We need more games. It is so frustrating that it's kind of stop, start. You can have a game and then you get to December and it might be you have a 2-week gap, or January you have a 2-week gap. There's no excuse for not having a game every weekend. Like, you could and would play every weekend, right, Gem?
Yeah, I would take no off season if we could.
Yeah. So, like, why haven't they just fixed it so that we've got a game every weekend? Honestly, it drives me nuts.
Yeah, because that's the thing. If you're in a good rhythm as well, to suddenly stop for a couple of weeks and then get back on it, and it's not good for anyone, is it? And just simple things like that. Even you just talking about it, you think, well, why haven't the higher ups been thinking about it?
I'll be honest. It just drives me. Like the other season, I remember in the FA Cup the other season, they campaigned to increase the prize money, but they did it for after like the second round or the first round. So it just went to all the big clubs. It's like, hold on, all those little clubs need that money as well. What are you doing? So,
and it's an interesting thing what you said there about the prize money, because I was actually looking at the FA Cup prize money the other night with who I work with on the podcast, and we were looking. It hasn't increased from last year. The only thing they've changed is that in the preliminary rounds, you actually get something this time, whereas you didn't previously. And you're right about the fact that actually it's the smaller clubs who need this investment, who need the money. That, you know, if you're looking at your Chelseas and your Arsenals, yeah, you know, a couple of thousand is great. Of course it is. But if you imagine a club in, you know, even Championship and below, a couple of £1,000 is, well, it's life-changing as some clubs. You know, you can put that towards your infrastructure. You can put that towards building in the future. So yeah, there's definitely the gap between the clubs, the leagues is just getting wider, isn't it? So yeah, I 100% agree. That's something definitely needs to be done.
Well, I mean, the thing is, a lot of women are also still having to, they lose money playing football. And so, you know, the minute we got a women's side, we said we're going to pay them. And I think the first season we just paid expenses. Look, commercially we can do that because we've got the model to do it. But a lot of girls who are playing in, you know, in the women's game, even if they're getting paid, the amount doesn't really cover their boots and their petrol and their cost of travel. And it's like, come on, really? Can you not get your shit together enough as the FA to spread enough money down so at least they can get their expenses? So it just frustrates me.
No, and it's really good that we're having this conversation though, because the more people that talk about it, hopefully that then ignites more change, and then that'll have a domino effect. Hopefully that things do change, because like we talked about earlier with, you know, it takes the worry off. If you're a player and you're worried about, well, how am I going to get to that game? You know, have I got enough money for rent? Have I got, you know, enough money for a new pair of boots? That's the last thing you want to be worried about, and you can't play to your best ability. So yeah, Gemma, for you, is there anything else that you would ultimately love to change within the game?
I think just sort of building on from Pete's point, they're all really interesting views on it, and I do agree. And someone said something that really stuck with me recently, that we are, with the women's winning the Euros and you know, the more money being involved in the game, we're raising the ceiling, but we're not raising the floor, which that really stuck with me. And I thought that's really true. And I think if as the women's game continues to evolve as great as it is, unless that's also met, all we're doing is increasing the challenge between each league, and you might increase it at a certain level, but it's always going to hit a wall unless you can build it as a whole. So I think, yeah, it's definitely heading in the right direction. I think it still needs a hell of a lot of work, and although it's come a really long way, we are still probably quite far off where it needs to be and where it deserves to be. But with the success and the things around it, you know, if we can't celebrate success, what can we celebrate? So it's important to still understand that it is heading in the right direction, and there's a lot of people that are doing a lot of great things for it, Pete being one of them.
So we're on the way to getting it there. We just need to kind of push it further and across the league. And that's a bit of a duty for like people. So one of the things I did say, I've wrote this in my program notes once, right? When I was a kid and I played football, my dad played football, my brother played football, my mum would drive us around and she'd wash all our kits, and she did her bit, and it was brilliant. Thanks, Mum. And women didn't play football. And I think even at one point, Jill was telling me that it was actually illegal at one point for women to play football.
Yeah, it was banned. Yeah, 50 years.
You know, when I hear someone out in his crap about women's football, I always want to say, look, hold on a second. You've got a century head start. And during that century, like, women have supported men's football, you know, like my mum did, by getting us there and washing all our kits. Well, now women want to play football. It's time for us to just give a bit back and say, yeah, thank you. Like, here's a bit back. We're going to support you back. And that's not being woke, or that's not just being an idiot. That is just saying, yeah, thank you. Here's a bit back. Let's try and help you make up that century where we didn't support your game, or that period where we banned it and made it illegal. Yeah. You know, let's give a bit back for that. That's all. I don't think it won't take a lot. I mean, there's enough money in the men's game to go and sort that out.
Yeah, no, 100%. And we need to shout that louder from rooftops, I think. In the game have said, we just want a fair wage. Yeah. You know, we want to be paid fairly, as you mentioned, want to be shown that we're worth something. So yeah, I think definitely more needs to be done. So thank you both for that. Now, I have a fun question to finish. If you had to pick your perfect footballing moment, okay, either playing or managing, I want to know, who would you pick to be with you in your five-a-side squad if you choose to play? What stadium it would be at? And which tournament or trophy are you playing for? So it's the final of this competition. So either managing or playing. So who would be in your five-side squad? What stadium? And what are you playing for? Which?
Am I picking players from my squad to be in my five-side?
You can pick whoever you want in the whole world.
I'm going to show faith in them. Okay.
Yeah.
I've set a few people by doing
If you're going to
actually.
go with your team, they're going to listen to this. Gonna pick,
True.
are you playing or managing, Jim?
I'm playing.
Okay. So
I'm player manager in this situation.
okay. You got to pick
What's your role?
four. You got to pick four. Who you putting in goal?
In goal, I'm gonna put Nina in there because playing against her again when she played for Sudbury is as if she'd cling film the goal, so we'll put Nina in there. I'll put myself in. We're gonna go 2-1-2. I'll put myself in the middle there, in the centre mid.
Yeah.
Thought you might.
Offensive two of. This is a lot. Are you meant to be helping me here, Pete, or are you just?
No, I'm gonna see.
No, they're separate. They're separate. No. So anyone in the world?
Anyone in the world?
Yeah.
Have they got me
you're going with our
females?
team. No, go with our team. So let's see how pissed off you. They're all going to listen.
Killed me. Listen, this is a real tough pick.
They're all sat there now going, pick me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna put in either back. I'll put Sophia in because she's technically very good. I'll put her into my five-a-side squad. The other defensive player, I'm actually gonna go in with Millie Hayes because I think she's technically excellent, so she'd be great in there. Front two, I'll put Brion in because I think she'd cover so much ground that people just wouldn't be able to defend her. She's incredibly fast. And then my other player I'll go with will be Abby Benstead because I do play some five-a-side with Abby and she can really finish. Yeah, she's great. So that'll be my five-a-side.
I love
So
it.
I'm gonna pick from ours as well.
Yeah, go on then.
I'm gonna be manager. I'm not gonna play. I probably have to pick. I'm gonna even though she's not with us anymore, I'm gonna pick Chloe in goal because I haven't seen Nina play yet, so I'll stick Chloe in goal. Who's the two? I'll probably go. I'll agree with you on Sophia, but I'm gonna stick Puds in.
Okay.
Because she's quick. I think she could terrorise people. I'm going to drop you. I think you passed it now. No, I want some youth in the side, Gem.
I'm 24.
It's old in football. Who did I put in the middle? I'm gonna stick Emma Gaylor in. I'm gonna have her ahead of you. Look at Gemma. She's fuming.
Come. Yeah, go on. Just do the rest. I'm not even listening.
All right. I agree with you on Abby. And I'm gonna stick in Sophie Byron.
Okay.
She's a little terror. But I'd have you as my assistant coach, Gem.
I don't want second pickings. I'm not coming. I'm busy that night.
Wherever
night your team's playing, I'm not
coming.
coming.
Am I allowed to sub?
So it started so well, didn't it?
I'm not picking you while you sat in front of me.
No.
I'd have you a sub.
Okay, so after these teams have come out, then how about stadium and which trophy or tournament are you playing for?
I'm playing at the Emirates because I'm a big Arsenal fan. So for all the stadiums in the world, I'm staying true to myself there. I'm going with the Emirates.
I'm staying at the Ledger. We're staying at my stadium. I don't care.
Loyalty.
I'm staying at the Ledger.
No, I love it. And okay, so which trophy's coming to these stadiums? What are you playing for?
I'm playing for the Prem. I'm in for the Prem. I know that's going to go down well as an Arsenal fan saying that with Pete. He's going to love that.
So hold on, you're saying you're going to beat Arsenal at the Emirates to win the Prem?
No, my team's going to play at the Emirates and win the Prem there.
But if they're in the Prem, the only team you're going to be playing is Arsenal. You aren't Arsenal.
No, we're not playing in the Prem. We're just saying this is where I'm playing. My team is playing at the Emirates and we're winning the Premier League because if
you're winning the Premier League at Emirates, you're playing Arsenal.
No.
In this magical football world, anything can happen.
That is made up. It's obviously made up because I'm not in your squad and that wouldn't happen in real life.
In this magical football world, Arsenal might even win the league.
That's what I was saying. I just knew that was coming.
We're playing at the Ledger, and we are gonna win. We're gonna win the semi-final. We're gonna win the semi-final of the FA Cup against Bedford Town. No, against Luton. We're gonna smash Luton 5-0. Mugs.
Smash it. Even a score. Fantastic. Smash Luton 5-0. Fantastic. Hey, what a way to end. What a way to end indeed. But of course, one more thing. Where can people come and support the team, either online or in person? next
Yeah,
season?
railbedford.com. We're online. We have separate social profiles for men's and women's. I think we cross-pollinate a bit. I think it's RBFC Women on most of the social stuff. You can get merch on our railbedford.com website. Come watch us play. Come see us beat some teams, hopefully. Thanks for having us, though, Freya.
Yeah, thanks very much. We appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it sounds perfect. So thank you both for making time this afternoon. Thank you everyone for watching as well. This has been the pre-season preview promotion special with Real Bedford.